Hello and welcome to the Week 8 edition of Inside Butler Football. I'm your host, Mark Pearson. During today's show, we're going to look back at last week's loss to San Diego. We are also going to look forward to next week's opponent, Drake. Coach Doherty as well as Zach Wolf are in studio today, so make sure you stay tuned right here on Inside Butler Football. Hello and welcome back to Inside Butler Football. We're going to thank Coach Doherty for joining us on set today. Thanks for being here, Coach.
Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Hey, no problem at all. Now, in the first half, you guys struggled a little bit offensively. Talk a little bit about what San Diego might have done to keep you guys off the board the first half.
San Diego's a good football team, but I think it was more of what we did or didn't do rather than what San Diego did. Too many turnovers. Penalties, we didn't capitalize, didn't finish when we were able to drive the football. We were moving the football just fine. We need to finish. That was the biggest thing. But again, San Diego, they're a good football team. They always have been.
San Diego is a good football team, but you were able to pick them off early in the second half. Ethan Brunhofer came up big for you guys, which set up the first touchdown of the game. Talk about what the team might have changed at halftime to lead to 21 points in the second half.
I think it was more of, just finishing. We didn't really change up the game plan too much, still running the same plays, but we were able to finish, and that's the biggest thing. If you drive the football up and down the field, that's great, but you got to get some points on the board, and we didn't do that in the first half, and we started doing it in the second half. We kind of collected as a team, and we were able to get the job done, and Ethan was a huge spark for that, and I know I was excited, jacked up on the sideline about that, and that got the team going. And that spark was able to maybe just get us, hey, let's finish. Let's get the job done.
Turnovers and penalties sometimes pull a team back a little bit. Talk a little bit about some of the key things that you thought on Saturday were some things that held you guys back from pulling out a victory against San Diego.
Well, I mean, it's just what Coach Wars talks about. It's the TNTs, the take no talents. It's knowing your snap count, not holding a guy on when you're blocking them. All those little things build up into really what takes you back. Just as simple as forgetting a snap count. Instead of getting 5 yards, you're now back 5 yards, or holding, a guy and blocking. Instead of taking the right steps to block them the first time, instead of getting the 10 yards we might have got on that run, we're now 10 yards back. So it's just the little things like that can really hold you back. It's something very simple. It's just as easy to hold the guy or to get the wrong snap count as it would be to catch and tuck the football and run for 10 yards. So we just got to make sure we do that, and we'll be okay.
We talked about Ethan Brunhofer's interception, so now let's go and take a look at all the highlights from this week's game against San Diego. Ethan Brunhofer's interception here right at the start of the second half. It was the first possession that San Diego had, and it led to a score. Talk a little bit about what happened on this play.
Ethan does a great job here getting out in the flat, and quarterback's thrown on the run, doesn't throw the best ball, and Ethan's able to pick it off and get some good yardage after that. That really got us excited on the sideline. I know I was jumping up and down, all happy about that. But it got us going. We needed a little bit of a kick, and that gave it to us.
Now we're going to go to Guy DiBalsamo's touchdown run, where he breaks it loose, about a 55-yard run. Talk a bit about what you saw on this play.
Oh, it opened right up from the snap to the whistle. It was a great play for us. The offensive line did a great job pulling around. We had two linemen pulling there. Did a great job getting the defense on the ground and opened up a big hole. And I was able to give two stiff arms. It was just an awesome play. It was great. That really got us going. Our second score there to really get us in close.
JoJo Ciencio also got in on the action defensively by adding another interception, but we're not going to focus on the interception. We're going to talk about his leadership. He's a fifth-year senior, and talk about what he does for the younger guys as far as the leadership role goes.
Well, JoJo's great. He's one of our captains. We elected two captains this year, and JoJo, he won by a landslide. The whole team really rallies around JoJo. He's been here through the ups and the downs of the program. When we first came in, we weren't a conference champion. He's been through being kind of on the bottom of the conference and coming all the way up to the top. So he understands really what it takes to be a champion and how to keep it that way. So he's done a great job just helping everyone understand, hey, there's going to be good times and bad times. That's part of football. It's part of life. So JoJo's done a good job just getting everybody on track and trying to keep them there.
Now let's take a look ahead to the next week's opponent, Drake. And it's going to be a tough one. Drake is 4-3 overall, 3-1 in conference. Talk a little bit about traveling to Drake, though. It's not only a tough opponent on the road, but it's tough to travel to Drake. You have to ride on the bus for 8 hours to get there. Talk about how you keep the team focused on the road trip and being able to keep them loose during the game.
Well, I think the biggest thing is just to do what we've been doing. And it is a little bit longer trip, but we're used to long trips in and out of airports and on planes. So when you look at the time, it's usually about the same as, say, a trip down to Campbell or Jacksonville, something like that. It's just we all have to be able to keep our mental level at a right spot. Now, sitting on a bus for 8 hours isn't always the most fun. We're gonna break that up. For lunch, we'll stop in Moline, Illinois, get some lunch, get back on the bus, and we're gonna get off again and practice right in Des Moines there. So, just the biggest thing is to just keep the focus. And each player and each coach, everyone who's part of the team, they're able to keep their focus a different way. It isn't really just a set, hey, we all have to do this. That might work for most people, but for some it might not. So it's just on an individual level, if you can keep your focus, you're doing your job, and hopefully the rest of the team will do that too.
And Drake is always a very tough opponent for you guys. You were able to pull out a win last year at the Butler Bowl, 24-14. Talk about going against a senior-heavy defense for Drake. They have a lot of returners. Talk a little bit about what the offense wants to accomplish come Saturday.
We just got to get the job done. They're a very good football team. They're always senior and junior heavy. It's just a good football program. But what we have to do is, control what we can control, get the job done. We got to finish. We got to drive the football, and we got to get points on the board. That's the biggest thing. No matter who you're playing, whether you're playing Drake or whether you're playing Alabama, the football team that's out there, we've got to do our job, get the job done.
As I mentioned, they're 3-1 in the conference, and you guys are 1-3. Talk about the importance of a game like this, and if you could go onto the road and pull out a win.
Oh, it'd be huge. For the season, it'd get us back to 500, and it would get us back to 500 in the conference as well. So we've got to do what we need to do. We got to go out there, get a victory. That would help the players. Hey, the season isn't over, and no one needs to think that. We take it week by week and get the W and come back, make that long road trip back a little bit better.
Well, thank you, Coach Doherty, for joining me on
Mark,
set.
thanks for having me.
Hey,
It's
no
good to be
problem at
here.
all. Make sure you stay tuned. Zach Wolf will be on set next. This week on Get to Know Your Bulldog, we take a look at Zach Wolf. Thanks for joining us, Zach.
Thanks for having me.
No problem at all. Now we're going to talk to you a little bit about football in general and just kind of your life story. Talk a little bit about where you're from and what got you going in football.
Yeah, I'm from Lockport, Illinois. That's the high school I went to. My town's actually Crest Hill, Illinois, but that's the high school I went to. I started playing football there when I was a freshman. Didn't play football growing up. It wasn't really wasn't interested in it that much. And then when I got to high school, it was kind of like, football's a big thing. Let's try it out. So I went out for the freshman team and instantly loved it. Loved playing it, loved being part of the team, everything that came along with it. And since then, I really haven't looked back. I played all 4 years of high school, and then I came to Butler, and football was a big thing bringing me here. So I was really thankful that I started playing it when I was in high school.
Absolutely, and you're very successful here at Butler. And talk a little bit about what other colleges looked at you as well.
Yeah, there's a wide variety. Illinois, there's a lot of schools, like Eastern Illinois, Southern Illinois, things like that, where you talk to and had a few conversations with. I think the biggest two that came down to me were Butler and University of Chicago. And University of Chicago is a really, really rigorous academic school, and as well as Butler, but Butler's Division I, University of Chicago's Division III, so that played into a role. But I think the biggest thing when I came to Butler for my visit was that, I was just so comfortable, and the people here were great. And I know my mom she said, well, I think you like Butler. And I'm like, how'd you know that? She's like, I can just tell your comfortability, and it's the truth. I remember JoJo Ciancio, who's on our team now, and Charlie Pericone, who graduated last year. Those two walked me around and taught me everything about the school, and they were good teammates. So that was probably the biggest reason for me coming here, just the people and how comfortable I was with everyone.
You talk a little bit about JoJo Ciancio and some of the memories that you've had so far just on your visit. What's your most memorable moment here at Butler University?
Most memorable, there's been a lot. Everybody probably says that, the freshman year against Jackson was a great one. Moorhead freshman year homecoming last year, going on that run. But I think if I had to pick one, I'd say last year at Dayton. We just got beat by San Diego, so it was a tough loss. And I know Coach talked about holding the rope, and everyone really bought into that philosophy. And we went out to Dayton and started off bad. Had a bad first quarter. I think we were down like 27-6 at one point. But we just rallied. It took a team effort, defense, offense, special teams, and it was just the greatest comeback I've been a part of. I believe we won 37-34 or somewhere around there, and that was my favorite game I've ever been a part of because it just really took the whole team, and it was great to make that comeback victory, especially against Dayton, the other rival. So.
Now you are in your third year here as a junior. Looking back, if you had to tell a freshman something coming into Butler, what would you say?
I'd probably tell them just relax. I think that's the biggest thing. I think a lot of these freshmen come in and they're so like, oh, well, how can I start? How can I play? Even school, where's my classes? Where am I going to go? All these different things. And I think you just got to relax and just, look around, see, find out your surroundings and look to the leaders too. Because I know when I was a freshman, I looked up to a lot of these older guys who were doing things the right way. And, if I needed, where's this classroom? That's something I could ask them. And I think that's the biggest thing, just relax, ask questions, and everything will come easy.
Now, the toughest question of all, what does being a Butler Bulldog mean to you?
Being a Butler Bulldog, well, it means everything to me at this point. I work, we work all year in the summer, off season, even during the winter conditioning, all those different things we work at. So it really does mean everything. And I love playing football, and I love all those things. But I think the biggest thing is just my teammates. Those mean the world to me, and I built some great bonds with, a lot of these guys who I'm best friends with, and be the best friends for the rest of my life. And you'll never be in a group like this where you have so many different relationships. Every guy on the team you have a different little joke with, or you say hi to him a different way, and I think that's what it means to me, is just having that many relationships and being that part of that team atmosphere.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Zach.
Thanks for having me.
Right here on Get to Know Your Bulldog. Thank you for tuning in to Inside Butler Football. We hope to see you next week, Bulldog fans.